Hello and welcome everyone to CultCast, the podcast that unravels the fascinating world of brands, marketing, and creative leaders that shape them. In our first season, we'll explore the ROI of creativity and how investing in creative talents can drive business growth. I'm your host, Shemaine Wong, and here's today's topic. Touches on the captivating landscape of brand positioning and how it impacts businesses as a whole. Joining me in this conversation today, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, is Christian Georgiadis, founder and director of AX Creative Agency, a boutique innovation creative agency focused on serving clients in the products, real estate, and technology sectors. Fueled by a passion for music, production, and visual design, Christian has built his career at the crossroads of creativity and business. As a videographer, photographer, and creative director, he combines his technical expertise with a creative eye and tenacity. His company, AX Creative, takes a holistic approach to innovation, blending technical skills with a strong creative drive. We're so fortunate to have you today. And this is actually a first episode, and I can't wait to dive into his thoughts on the impacts of creative brand positioning. Welcome, Christian. Maybe before we start, hello. Maybe before, I love that you have such a, you're properly set up. So before we start, maybe you can give us a quick introduction of who you are and the multi businesses that you do, and just a one-liner on who is Christian.
Who is Christian? Oh, you've made this you put me on the spot now. Why are you doing this? Who is Christian? I don't know. I really don't know a lot of the time. I'm a risk taker, I'm an innovator, and I'm a creative. So that's my one-liner, I would say. I wouldn't say anything else. I think the one-liner that defines AX is what I actually am. So where innovation and creativity meets. That's me.
Nice. Tell me about AX. What is AX right now? And who are some of the clients that you're taking care of?
So AX Creative, when we first started it, and when I mean we, the reason it's just me at the moment is because we started AX. It was two companies that merged together. So there was ANG Digital, which was one of my ex-business partners' companies. He did marketing. It was just digital marketing and a little bit of creative services. And then mine was XS Media. So XS Media was like a hype creative agency. More so media, so videography, photography based, and then we did a little bit of graphic design. And essentially we came together. We had a very similar vision at the time. We wanted to get into like real estate work, and a bit of corporate mentoring type stuff. And we merged companies, and this was like a COVID baby. So we pretty much started at the end of 2019, and then COVID hit like a couple months later. And even though we had portfolios together, we had to start again. So we pretty much went down the outreach path, doing a lot of organic outreach through social media, and then built our portfolio up, which led us into 3 to 4 different niches, which was hospitality, real estate, technology, and e-commerce. And yeah, it's pretty much built.
Right. So could you define what brand position means in your words, and why is it so critical for businesses today?
Brand positioning. It's honestly, it's one of the topics that a lot of people don't really focus on anymore. Like branding is something that everyone thinks it's more just of a logo, where when you think about bigger companies like Nike or Adidas, they're not just a company. It's not just a tick. It's not just a logo. It's actually the people behind it. So it's what I think brand positioning is. It's all about the culture and the people that are driving it. For us, it's more of I would say like emotional connection. We want to treat everyone in a unique way. So it's like in a bigger company, it's always every person's a number. But for us, it's more of a connection. So I apply connection with the branding, and that's what drives the branding.
Can you share examples of businesses that you see have successfully differentiated themselves through creative strategies?
I already mentioned it, but Nike,
Nike,
Adidas.
Adidas. Yeah.
The reason why I mention those, and I mention it in
Mm,
every branding meeting I do,
yeah.
um, Nike is all driven by their athletes. So if you
Mm,
actually see a lot of their videos, it's
mm,
purely done. Um, the athletes are wearing their products, but
mm,
they're not focused on the products. They're always focused on the athlete's story, and that's what drives their brand. That's their
mm,
whole entire creative strategy.
mm,
Same with Adidas. Adidas did it with Kanye West.
mm.
So they used celebrities to create a line, and it became huge. And I had another one. Memes. The memes on creative strategies now is insane because
Yeah.
I spend so much time on TikTok. And the most recent one I came across was the Apple one. So the Apple it's the like the vision glasses thing. I
Vision
don't know what
Pro,
it
was
is.
it?
Yeah, it's like, and I saw like so it was people that all these brands are Up and Go, and I think it was like Telstra. They cut
Mm,
up like the Up and Go specific one. They cut the boxes, and they were placing it like with a Vision Pro, and then it went viral like straight away. And I was like, that's insane. That's like honestly insane. Very creative, and I don't know how people think about it a lot of the time, but something so simple just goes beyond.
talking about viral, you segue into what I wanted to dig into what you've done very recently about hoisting that McLaren up in the air for a real estate brand as well. Maybe you can share with us about what happened and the
Yeah,
process of coming up with something so crazy.
that day was honestly like I kind of rethought taking that job that day because they told us to be on site. So it was for a little bit of backstory on that. It was pretty much
Yeah.
for a multi-millionaire in Australia. He runs a giveaway company. His name is Adrian Portelli, and pretty much he bought this $39 million penthouse, and he asked the development company if he could put his car into the apartment. Um, and then the development company, because we work with Satia,
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "Hey, could you come film this? I think it'll be good for our marketing." So we're like, "No worries, we'll put it together." So we had a photographer on site, and then me with the drone, and we we're there at 6 a.m. And they were like, "Oh, we're supposed to lift it up at 8 o'clock." So 8 a.m. And they didn't end up doing it till 10:30 because they were late. So Adrian was late with the car, the whole crew, and there was news like international news. There was Channel 10, Channel 7, The Age, like every news station. They blocked off the whole road for it.
Yeah.
And they tried to bring it up the car about 3 or 4 times, and I only had 2 drone batteries. So I had taken the drone up, I reckon 4 times within 4 hours. And I was actually really lucky to get the shots that I got because when they rang me, the agents rang me, because we were at it was like Carlton Garden, so the building's like here,
Yeah.
and we were down here, and they rang us, and they were like, they're putting it up," and I like quickly launched the drone, and I just made it like because they hoisted it so quickly, like
Yeah.
it wasn't slow. I thought it was gonna be slow,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
just like, and I was like,
No.
so I luckily flew the drone like on sports mode, flew it,
Yeah. Yeah.
followed it up, and then
Yeah.
quickly got the shots
You
just in time.
you did like a pan type of thing as
Yeah,
well, right?
the hardest was getting like when it was going up. But
Yeah.
once it got to the top, they
Yeah.
had to maneuver it, so it took them a
Yeah.
bit longer. But the whole process was about 30 seconds. Um,
No. From 6
so
a.m.
so from
So
6 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., we had 30 seconds to get the right shot. And
and
we got it. As soon as I got back to the office, I quickly made an edit. I wasn't even supposed to make an edit, but I knew it was going to go viral. So I quickly made an edit, and then I was like, okay. Um, I sent it to them. They were like, sweet. And then I was like, oh, what time can I post it? And they're like, 6 p.m. And I was like, are you kidding me?
yeah.
Like 6 p.m. is too late. Like everyone's going to be posting before that.
Why 6 p.m.? Yeah.
Um,
Why was it so specific to 6 p.m.?
they wanted to push out their newsletter at 6
Gosh.
p.m. So they wanted to align because we work for the development company, we had to
Yep.
align with them.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, no worries. So I posted it 1 hour earlier
Yeah.
on TikTok first,
Yeah.
and then I posted it on
Genius.
Instagram, and then it just blew up because we we're the only ones that made an actual montage of it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and then like within 3 days, we got on our TikTok, we got 3.2 million views. Instagram was about 200,000 or under 200,000. And
Mm-hmm.
then we got, so a lot of the major YouTube channels in the world, one of them
Mm.
was Daily Dose of Internet. They reached out to
Yep.
us on emails and they're like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
can we use your video? Blah, blah, blah. So by the time I reckon 2 weeks later,
Mm-hmm.
it's gotten about 20 mil worldwide.
It's crazy.
Um, and literally the other day I was filming in the city on
Mm.
Wednesday, and there was
Mm.
a guy and he was just like, oh, X Creative, I saw your video. And I was like,
You
that's so,
famous.
I was like, nah, all the agents, you're so famous, you're so famous. I was like, that was 2 weeks ago. I'm not famous anymore.
Okay, and I have to echo that AX only has a six-person team, right? You guys run lean, but mean,
Yes. Yes.
hardcore.
Uh
Amazing.
6 person team, like the hardest thing is uh I was technically a 1 person team up until
Mm.
I reckon November last year. The rest
Mm-hmm.
of the time we would hire subcontractors. So we had multiple
Mm.
subcontractors that would hire for certain jobs, and we used an
Mm-hmm.
external team as well. That was actually in our office at the time. One of our friends, shout out to Corplight, had a team, and we used to use them.
Yep.
And so yeah,
It's a
it's a really lean team. It's a very lean
yep.
team. And we're growing very quickly now. But it was a bit of a slow burn the last 2 years.
Mm. Mm.
And that's mainly because I wanted to build the brand first
Mm-hmm.
and then sort of get the clients in. Because there was a period last year where we took on too many clients and
Mm.
we didn't have the team for it,
Mm.
and it backfired on us. So we
Yep.
had to pretty much offload all the clients and then reconfigure the whole entire brand structure, the internal brand structure.
Mm.
So now we're just hiring as we go, essentially,
Got
but
it.
we're prepared.
Got it. Right. So going back to this, how should brands measure the success of their creative efforts towards positioning?
I mentioned it before, emotional
Okay.
connection.
Hmm.
Um,
Very non-tangible, but it's so important, right? How do you
yes,
calculate, how do you measure emotional connection?
it's how people resonate with your work.
Mm.
So it's it's how, like, because for us the reason why we get hired in real estate specifically,
Mm.
real estate videos,
Mm.
our clients always tell us that we drive emotions visually. So
Mm.
when we do real estate videos, we kind of create it like we use more cinematic music. It's not royalty
Mm.
free music, it's like more um it's got like some type of emotion in the song, and then
Yep.
we drive the visuals and start it off slow. Like sometimes it's like a bit of
Yep.
flashing, and then it gets um into the video. But all the houses that we shoot are like a couple $1 million, right?
Yep.
So they're not the corporate type where I
Mm.
hate doing the corporate type of videos. I actually
Yep.
like driving the emotion through that. So that's the reason why I say that. um
Do you get the vibe of the house first before you kind of come up with this sort of cinematic um, storyboard? Where do you kind of come up with the vibe? It's all about
Honestly,
vibes these days, right? Yeah,
it's so
and the mood.
like
Mm.
we do it so uh what's the word for it? It's like candid. Like we don't
Mm.
actually have a plan when we go into these houses. It's just like, let's shoot, and then afterwards we'll just sort it out. And it
Yeah,
usually, because I edit a lot of the real estate videos, not anymore, but like I was, and I would just go and I just know straight away, like it would just come to me.
yeah.
But you can tell by the area. So
Mm.
area that the house is in, if you've shot enough houses in that area, you'll understand
Mm.
what the market is. So it's all
Right.
about uh sort of the location analysis,
Mm-hmm.
because the people around richer areas, they want to buy
Mm.
something a lot more boutique and luxurious.
Mm.
So
Mm.
when you make the video, you need to
Mm.
match that audience.
Got it.
So it's
So it's
not
not
just
as
like,
candid.
hey,
Yeah, it's not as candid. There's actually thought and audience and customer profiling as well.
yeah, but we don't really plan it out. It's kind of like we just know. It's
Yep.
like uh, now when we write it to, for example, staff and our editors, we're like,
Mm.
okay, this is the area, this is what they live in, these are the houses around the area, um, and then they understand more of the feel and the vibe. Um, like for example, where I live, Brunswick, the area is very like hipster. So if you're gonna
Yep.
do something there, you
Yep.
put something like more a bit upbeat.
Funky. Yep.
Yeah.
Upbeat. Yep.
Because the houses there, like they're old and new, like it's just a
Yep.
mixture of everything. But the
Yep.
people, they're all hipsters. So
Yep.
you wouldn't do
All
that. But like,
sorts.
yeah, it's different. So the emotional connection is one of them, and
Mm-hmm.
the culture and community. I think
Got it.
that's huge, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I think one of the biggest things a part of a brand is your culture. If you don't have a solid
Mm-hmm.
culture, um, nothing will go well for your brand.
Yep.
Um, I find like if you look on my TikTok, I'm not too sure
Mm.
if you've seen my TikTok, but I don't post serious like creative stuff. I know a lot of other
Yep.
brands that post like these amazing professional work and like creative work, but none of them actually post about the people in the brand, the personalities of
Mm.
the brand.
Mm.
I'm not afraid to be myself in the brand. Like
Mm.
I can be completely childish at times, like really bad. And then at other times, it's like more professional. I still like the hype work,
Mm. Mm.
but I feel like when you build a brand,
Mm-hmm.
everyone should be themselves. And
Got
I
it.
think, years ago that wasn't such a normal thing, but
Mm.
now 2023, it's a very, very normal thing.
Yep. Authenticity, right? Being authentic and being real stuff.
Correct.
You said the last thing, community. What do you mean by that?
The community around you.
Mm.
So it's more so a network type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of the other brands that I'm involved in, the Sneaker Laundry, it's a very community driven brand. What I mean by
Mm-hmm.
that is because they're in sneakers, sneakers
Mm.
have a lot of different personalities. There's YouTubers. Actually, one of the owners of Sneaker Laundry is actually a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of events around sneakers. And it's a very like close, like
Mm.
if you go to
If
one of
you
the
know,
events,
you know.
you'll meet 10 people and the next event they'll be there. Like you
Yep.
just know. And they're all
Mm.
like a very tight community. They all look
Mm-hmm.
after each other. So I think that's a very important part of the brand. If you don't have a community,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to build the brand.
Got
But it
it.
also depends on the type of brand that you're building.
Okay. Okay, how does investing in creative talent help a business stand out?
Here in Australia, investing in creative talent is a bit different to investing overseas.
Mm.
Um, there's a bit of the work efficiency and culture is a lot different, I would say. Um, After COVID in Melbourne, what I
Yep.
noticed was everyone that you try and hire in Melbourne doesn't want to work, and it doesn't matter what you pay them. It's
Mm.
like they think they're worth a lot more, and because
Got
in
it.
in Melbourne they were going down this path of like there was a lot of grants, so people were just
Mm.
getting money for free, and then
Mm.
afterwards the wages went up because of inflation.
Mm.
So what I noticed with working with new people, like pretty much hiring locals,
Yep.
is that they weren't motivated to work because
Mm.
they kept saying, okay, um, we're worth say $70 an hour instead of
Mm.
$50 an hour,
Mm.
but
Mm.
they weren't outputting the work.
Yep.
So I, and this is all after inflation too.
Mm.
So for us, we we looked towards moving into the outsourcing overseas. And we were doing it in the past, but we just decided, okay, maybe it's time to put more work into it, more effort into it, and build the processes here first, and then start hiring overseas. And that's what we did. The people overseas, they want to work. It's like, you know, you give them, say, you're not giving them Australian wages, because Australian wages are very high for creatives. I'm talking like $6,000 to $10,000 a month. It's pretty average here. Overseas is half, I would say, a bit less than half sometimes. But everyone overseas, they want to work. You know, they want to work. Yeah, they want to work for Australian companies. Like we've had in our process, and not just from Cult Creative, but like outside of Cult Creative as well. We were using LinkedIn for a while. We had over 1,200 applications a month from overseas, and locally we have about 200 to 400 a month on average. So it's a bit of a
big difference. Yeah. Would you say that overseas they're more hungry?
I would say they're more hungry, but you know, there's more opportunities. Like people want to work with local brands, right? So if you build an Australian portfolio, like someone from overseas, they bring build an Australian portfolio, then they can, for example, the next job they can get into a bigger company or something like that, and there's more opportunities, there's more pay. That's what I've sort of noticed in interviews as well as hiring people.
All right, finally, what advice would you give to a new brand trying to leverage brand positioning?
Such a different one.
So, going back to brand positioning, this is your baby. It's a big one, right? It's a big loaded question. Like, where do you even start, right?
It's huge. What I would suggest is it depends at what stage you're at too. I think it's important to know like what stage, whether you're in the you know, just starting out, maybe you already have a full-time job, you're working part-time and you just want to start a brand. I would say take as many risks as possible. Don't be afraid to do something stupid. I find that a lot of people, the reason why they hold themselves back in a startup position, as well as like when they have a full-time job, they don't want to say anything wrong, or they don't want to take the risk to do something different. So I just encourage people to step out of the comfort zone. I find, and in an overall perspective, comfort zone is the biggest thing that stops you from growing your brand. I've had so many experiences like that. Like I would not be able to talk to you on a phone call right now. I learned to step out of my comfort zone in university. I studied interior design, and they pretty much forced us to have presentations,
right?
Rooms, and every like project that we did, you would constantly have to share everything, and that's how I learned. But I used to take like Valiums, which is like Panadol, and there was a few times where I like drank some alcohol and I was like, okay, calm down my nerves a bit. But after a while, I just got used to it. Like when I get anxious, I talk too much. So I'm not necessarily anxious now. It's just my personality. But
that's a great point. I realize a lot of interior designers and architects they share a lot. They've got a lot of thoughts on how design. They're big sharers. Maybe that's why you're so good at now. And tell me, okay, since we wrapped up already, tell us a little bit like how did you get to where you are today? Like what was your background? And now that I know that you studied interior design, you did a bit of crypto. Like how did you become the risk taker that you are today?
It kind of like goes all the way back to when I first started working. When I was 16, I was working for it's one of my auntie and uncle's companies. They had a plumbing business. They still do. and they had a restaurant as well. And I used to do their like accounting slash admin work and some of their creative work. And then at the same time, I was working in like a shoe factory making shoes. So all the things that I do now, like that I'm a part of now, it all relates back to when I was 16. So
Mm.
all the accounting, the financial work, financial planning,
Yep.
the shoe side of things, fixing shoes, like I'm involved in sneaker companies now, um, and the technology side of things too, also involved in technology now.
Yep.
Um, and when I was younger, like I was always very, I was always a little bit like the childish, funny one.
Mm.
But I also was very mature for my age. So over time, I guess like when I went into school, I actually
Mm.
didn't want to be an interior designer. I wanted to be a product designer.
Mm.
So I wanted to design, say, like furniture or cars or
Mm.
something like that. Like I actually like tech a lot. I really like
Mm.
tech products,
Mm.
which is actually a new venture that we're doing very soon. Um, um, and pretty much from there,
Mm.
I sorry. So in high school, I was doing
Mm.
like all the
A bit
media
of
subjects,
business.
media.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I did. I failed business in high school. I failed business in high school. I was doing media, like there's one called visual communication and design. So I was doing that. So all the portfolio subjects, and then you had to do the basic ones, was English, maths. I failed photography as well.
Ah.
Imagine that, failing photography and then doing it full time.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that really shaped you. And do you feel like that's how you got the risk taking, the
I think
tenacity, that resilience, and really pushing envelopes in the projects that you do?
it was really once I went to uni and
Hmm.
started doing interior design, when I was doing the presentations a lot, like we had to do lecture ones, like I was just saying, and that built a lot of my confidence up. And at the
Hmm.
time, I started doing videography in clubs. So that's
Mm.
actually how I built my career. And that was by accident. So one of my friends was started a club and he was like, hey, just bring your camera, film some clips. And I actually enjoyed it. So I
Yeah.
started building my confidence in clubs because I gained popularity. So I came out of my
Yeah.
comfort zone a lot. Um, it's a very toxic community, by the way. Um, and I built my portfolio in clubs. Then they
Yeah.
started like the owners started pushing me
Yeah.
into different industries, and that's how I
Mm.
was like, oh, I'll start Excess.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, I was confident, but I was still closed.
Mm.
And then when I started AX, it
Yeah.
was different sort of because we
Yeah.
moved more into corporate work.
Yeah.
Uh, but where it really broke me was last year or the year
Mm.
before that. We got heavily into mindset and manifestation, and
Okay.
I had a mentor that completely broke me, and
Mm.
that's when I decided to drop all my clients. So that's what really took me out of my comfort zone after that because I was
Mm.
like, you know, you see yourself so differently in
Mm.
that moment, and you're like,
Yep.
okay, it's time to start pushing forward. Um, so there's a lot of events that really brought me out of my comfort zone, I would say,
Yep.
um, to lead me to where I am now. But
Nice.
yeah,
We have to get to it. And when I come back to Melbourne, I have to get in touch with you. Okay, I'll call you for coffee.
100%.
And yeah, we go for fur. Okay, fur and what's that thing? Oh,
Uh,
Fitzroy.
uh, in Footscray.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Let's
that's
go.
the best.
Okay. I'm mindful of the time, so thank you so much, Christian, for being so raw, being so honest, and I really love that you're my first guest of this thing. It's been really special because I really want to interview a lot of these amazing creative leaders and people. And creatives are misfits, right? We're all like we're oddballs, we're risk takers. People kind of like like you guys are different. So I am so glad you're my first guest. Thank you for taking the time and giving us so much wisdom on brand positioning. And that wraps up our first episode of CultCast. If you like what you heard, do give us a follow on LinkedIn and YouTube, where we'll be sharing a total of 10 episodes with 10 leaders in branding, marketing, and creative industry. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you.